feel bad about the Chico.
You want to get started?
No. Here she is.
Oh yeah, she's always running late.
Hey,
That's true.
we're okay. It's
We have
right
1 minute. We have 1 minute.
You have 1 minute, Miss. Let her get settled.
I did print
So you're
more
gonna
if
get.
anybody
Well,
wants.
let's put them
We're
in.
gonna get waylaid by people tonight.
Some of your
There's
printer
a lot
didn't
of
work though.
unhappy groups.
That's okay.
Well, I have to leave at 5.
Okay.
I can leave or 10 after.
Well, we'll
They
know.
changed
We'll
Huh?
know right at the beginning.
I have to leave at 5. They
Well,
changed
good.
the
It shouldn't
hours.
take that long because we don't have a guest speaker. So.
Okay. They changed the after-school program this year, and you have to have them picked up by like 5:30 instead of 6.
Yep, I remember those days. Try and forget about it.
We're ready.
You ready to start?
Yeah, we can start.
I think your mic's working.
Good afternoon. It's good to see everybody. I hope it's not too hot for everyone. They say we can start a meeting late, but we can't start it early. So it's officially 4:01 p.m. We will open the East Region Town Hall for District 3, other known as E.R.T.H. And we're representing Clear Lake Oaks, Spring Valley, and Glen Haven. The agenda for meeting of August 7th, 2024, 4:01 p.m. at the Moose Lodge, 15900 Moose Lodge Lane, Clear Lake Oaks, California, 95423. This is available on Zoom as well, correct, Supervisor Crandall? And, okay, thank you. Yay, thank you, TV8. Okay, so we'll call to order, roll call. I think everybody that we have.
Here.
Excuse Maria.
Okay, Maria's excused,
Yes.
okay, very good. One absent, everyone else is here. And we'll move on to public comment.
Do we need to
This is-
advise this now or
Um,
change an agenda?
we can, yeah, we can. So we're probably gonna have to modify it, I guess, if we're gonna do that. So we do need to make a modification in the agenda. Our speaker this evening had an emergency surgery and she is in recovery. So unfortunately, she will not be here with us, but she promised to reschedule and come as soon as she's physically able to.
And if you need details, she's posted it out on her Facebook page.
Okay, they say they can't hear us. For, are you?
Can you hear? Test, test.
Okay,
Test.
all right. We'll do the best we can.
Test.
So, may I get a motion to modify our agenda?
Also move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let it reflect the item number 5, guest speaker, will be forwarded to a later date. I will now move to public comment. This is where any citizen has up to 3 minutes to speak to us about anything that is on your mind, but that is within our jurisdiction and purview, and that is not presented on the agenda today. Okay, so it's anything you want to let us know about. We cannot talk back to you because of the Brown Act violations and things that we are the rules we have to adhere to. But we can definitely speak with you afterwards or refer you if we can, okay? So 3 minutes, and if you could go to the podium when you're ready and speak your name and where you're from.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Russ Williams. I live over here at Lake Village Estates. And the thing that gets me more than anything, I think everybody here can agree with this, we had a new management come in at our park about February of this year. And now they're just adding things to it, to our bill, like paved the streets. They remodeled our clubhouse and everything else that's there, which I feel is wrong. We should have some say-so of what goes on in our park. And the thing that we also need to worry about is our rent control. We need to have rent control here, and we have to have somebody here, or a group of, a couple people, I think that would be a big help. Work with these idiot managements so that we have a really good, place to live, one thing. And these people must work with us so that we don't go into this kind of crap we're seeing today. And I like to yield back to you.
Thank you.
John Martin from Lake Village Estates too. About our new owners, they have, all they did was seal our road. I don't know if you guys are in control of this, but this owner, they're an LLC corporation. They have no heart. They destroy people's lives by overcharging for things. This road, they're charging for the road and the clubhouse $131,000. And to me, it's fraud, and they're just, you know, taking money from us for no reason. And we would like to see rent control down, really down for seniors, like 1.5% for seniors that we own our own homes, and we are just renting that lot. They don't provide us with any services at all. There's no reason for our rent to go up as high as they're jacking it up. I mean, some people have moved in, they're charging $600 now. And it's ridiculous. Yeah, that's all I can think about right now. I yield back.
Thank you.
I'm on another subject. My name is Kathy Garner. I live in the Clear Lake Oaks Keys. And on July 26th, there's in the Record B, I pay good money to subscribe to the Record B.
A little louder,
Oh.
A little louder, Kathy.
A little louder,
Okay.
Kathy.
Representative Mike Thompson voted to pass H.R. 8812, the Water Resources Development Act of 2024. And there's up to $20 million out there for us. I just wondered if our supervisor knew we were going to get any of that. So, anyway, thank you. I'm going to give him this article because he's looking weird at me. Thank you.
You can answer, we can't. Okay.
My name is Jim Beal. I live at Lake Village.
I'm sorry, sir.
Jim Beal.
Jim Beal.
Yeah. I live at Lake Village Estates as well. I have similar concerns of the previous speakers. I want to add that the previous owners and the current corporation that owns us have continually misled us and flat out lied to us about what their plans were. If you read their website and how they bought the place and what their business plan is, it's pretty obvious that their plan is to jack the rents up as high as they can get them in order to keep their investors happy. Very little communication with us, however. We're here because probably most of us are not quite sure where to start. We thought our local supervisor would be a helpful person to talk to. Several of us have made attempts to connect with him and been unsuccessful, so we're hoping, is he here today?
He's right here.
Great. Hopefully we can chat a little bit if you have time, or set something up at your convenience. We had something set up last week, but we ended up having a special meeting, so I had to cancel. I'm aware of that, that's fine. But whatever we can do to, because I think we're all not sure about what our rights are under the state laws. And there are some rent control laws that cover the whole state of California, but sometimes they're very specific as to what types of parks they'll actually cover. We're not sure what category we're in and what the limits are. But it's interesting that John mentioned the $130,000 bill they stuck us with not even telling us they were going to do it and who they were going to. None of us have seen an invoice as to why remodeling our clubhouse to fit their office was something we should pay for. We had no say over that. The other thing, when they sent the notice out for that, they had the audacity to write in their notice that the reason they did it was to improve our property values, and therefore we should pay for the improvements. Funny thing they didn't say is that if we improve our homes, put roofs on it, paint them nice, they didn't say we could deduct from our rent because we're improving their properties. So it's a very one-sided deal. We're not sure where we stand on that. We want to find out what our rights are. and to take it to whatever steps we need to take it. That's why we're organizing as a group. We're not limiting ourselves to just this one incident. I think it's a general problem throughout the county and really throughout the whole country. This Boa Vida operation, they own hundreds and hundreds of parks like this throughout the United States. They could give a crap less about any of them. What they care about is their investors. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gail Delane, also from Lake Village Estates, and my neighbors have said quite a lot. We just wanted to also speak with the supervisor and this forum about whether or not senior park designation is something that can be taken away, because we get the feeling that that's something that they plan to do. And yes, just space rent reform throughout the county would be a wonderful thing. We're not just fighting for ourselves, we're trying to get things done for many people. And 1, 2, 3, 4 tables of us are here, so it's really important to us. And we'd like to know which direction to turn and speak with the supervisor. Thank you.
Is there any, okay, a little bit more?
I'll just say that one of our neighbors is saying that various neighbors have had their checks returned, their space rent checks returned. So we obviously need help in dealing with this corporation. Oh, they're terminating the lease, I guess, when they return checks, but thank you.
Okay. Any other public comments for today? Okay. Seeing none, I will close public comment and move on to item number 4. Approve the Earth minutes from June 5th, 2024. There was no meeting in July.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're down to number 6, the general plan and shoreline area plan update. Holly, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hi there, Holly Harris. I think, well, we've talked about this in the past, but right now the county's currently updating their general plan and their 8 area plans. And these are the land use documents that will set the direction for growth in the county as required by California law. We are in the Shoreline Communities Area Plan, and that covers Lucerne, Clear Lake Oaks, and the surrounding communities. The last one was approved in 2009. It includes sections on land use, zoning, economic development, open space, conservation, public services, etc. And in April and May, public meetings were held in each of the 8 area plan boundaries to compile community issues and needs, and ours was at the May Earth meeting. 2 weeks ago, the Board of Supervisors selected the area plan committees, and the Shoreline Plan Committee for this area is composed of 9 members. From the Earth region includes Angela Amaral, who's not here today. She's out at Double Eagle. Myself, Maria Kahn, who's on the board, Amanda Collins, who I think is AmeriCorps. I'm not really sure. I don't know her. And Robert Geary, who's the tribal consultant. We had an online initial informational meeting with committee meetings planned for September. So last night here in the Moose Lodge, we had one of 2 countywide public meetings to introduce the key issues that came up from the Shoreline Area Plan meeting, and also to introduce a new staff survey. There were about 8 or 9 attendees, so it was really poorly attended. Then there was county staff and AmeriCorps volunteers. Director Turner did not attend, so we were not able to ask any questions about it. I wanted to point out that most of the documents that I picked up at the meeting last night are over here. And I think that this is apropos at the moment because there are 4 tables of you that are from the Lake Village Estates, and this is something that I think you all should look into and get involved in. We're talking about area plans, how things affect our community, and all of you need to go online and get the surveys and start talking about what your issues are as they relate to, you know, what you're going through. Now, the general plan, part of the general plan also includes the housing element, which they're going to be updating. There's a 15-page survey that they set out last night, and part of it asks questions about housing and what you want to see in housing and what's needed. So I would suggest that at least a couple of you band together and get copies of that. The information for downloading it is over there on the table. And then, you know, band together. Additionally, if any of you want to, or just a couple of you, want to give me your names and your emails and contact information, I will put you in touch with the woman who's the general plan representative for senior services. You know, so that may help too. Okay. So anyway, the new survey, as I said, along with the list of key issues for the Shoreline Area Plan document, is online at the lakecounty2050.org website. Everybody's encouraged to take this survey online or make a hard copy of it and drop it off. And it will be available through September 3rd. Now, there are questions that include demographic info, land use and zoning, but in this case, they only included Lucerne. They did not include anything from our area. Generic community issues that are going to be included in the general plan, and questions on housing and vacation rental issue questions too, for those of you interested in that. It also includes questions regarding the shoreline area plan boundaries. And what I wanted to say is, even though this is called, these key issues and surveys are targeted to each area plan, there are very, very few specific questions in the survey concerning our area. It's very generic, so if you fill out the form, in each of the questions there is a category for other, so I would encourage you to list specific issues and concerns regarding your community and Earth, because that's the only way they're going to be presented to us, you know, the Shoreline Committee, for being looked at. Now, the key issues list is also very generic. It's missing lots of items from the first meeting, such as our desire for scenic preservation, and many other specific concerns. So I would suggest you take a look at them and submit items that you feel are important to you. There are going to be 2 online webinars next week, Tuesday from 5:30 to 6:30 and Thursday from 10 to 11. The details are on the flyer. E.R.T.H did submit a letter to Community Development requesting that the shoreline area plan be split into an east shoreline and a center shoreline. Upon inquiry, Director Turner said the letter was added to the input from the community workshop, and amendments to this would go to the local area plan, then to the general committee, and then they would make recommendations to the board. But I understand now that they are not intending to look at separating that out. So if that's an issue for you, when you fill out your boundaries, you know, say something about that. And that's it, unless you have any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Harris? All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that update.
Am I next?
Yes, you are next. Item number 7, Commercial Cannabis Report and Cannabis Ordinance Task Force Update.
Okay, so since the last meeting, there was one cannabis project that was approved up on High Valley Road, and that was the Lou Farms. It was approved in June. Right now, there are 5 more in progress. Poverty Flats, which is also up on High Valley Road, and that's in the CEQA review stage, but it's not been yet published, so we can't look at it yet. Lamperti 2 on Sulphur Bank Drive is still in the application stage. And there are 3 others, Catholic Church Road, Hypnotic Farms, and Lemon Glow, which are also up on High Valley Road that are incomplete at the moment. In terms of the Cannabis Ordinance Task Force, you know, of course, I've been reporting back on this. We've been attending for about 2 years now. It's not going well for the resident, from the residents' point of view. But there have been 2 meetings in the past month. The task force is currently moving into the areas affecting the public, such as prohibited activities, development standards, exclusion zones. It's very difficult for the public to get into a discussion. We requested that issues not be voted on in the same meeting that they were discussed, so they could be talked about, but our request was turned down. 2 meetings ago, Redbud Audubon and Sierra Club made a presentation on tree preservation and the importance of trees. They requested that native oaks larger than 6 inches in diameter not be cut down, and this was voted against. Another recent meeting, and this is one of my issues here, all cannabis operations per the ordinance must submit an annual report and undergo a compliance visit to ensure that the operations are following the use conditions that are required by the permit. This includes also water usage. These are supposed to be reviewed annually by the Planning Commission, but we found out that none of these reports have gone to the Planning Commission. And at 125 projects, which they've had over several years, this could be hundreds of reports that have not been looked at. Well, certainly by the Planning Commission, and we don't know if anybody has looked at them. We did compare one report just to see what was included in it, an example. And we took a look at their property management plan and their use permit. And while the estimate during the hearings where they were given the permit proposed usage of 700,000 gallons of water per year, they were actually using over 2 million gallons of water per year. And nobody's looked at this. We don't know how many, if any, of these are being looked at. We have requested detailed discussion several times, but to date it's not been agendized, and I don't know if it will. Consequently, this past week we submitted a public records request for the annual reports on all the larger cannabis projects in this area so that we can compare them to the conditions of use. What I'm going to suggest is that E.R.T.H review the use permit conditions for all large projects, whether it's Dollar General or something else, on an ongoing basis to see if they are complying. I do know years ago when we looked at the Dollar General use permit, there were many things they were supposed to do that they did not do. So anyway, and right now we're not getting a lot of support from our designated public representatives, so it's a little bit tough. The next meeting is Monday from 1 to 2:30. It's open to the public on Zoom. We'll probably be looking at odor, use of electrical generators, pesticides and lights, and then they're going to move into protection of minors and prohibited activities. So we really encourage everybody to go online and just see what's going on. And that's it. Oops, if you have any questions. No. No. No, they, yeah, it is. They only have 7 days to appeal it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Wynn?
That's the Diesel Ranch project, and I believe it's the Simon Wetzel, who's the manager for Brassfield. That's his project. There are another 2, I believe, that are in process going over there. I haven't reported on them because I wasn't sure that they were actually in the E.R.T.H, you know, purview, et cetera.
They are.
They are. Okay, well, I'll start reporting on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Diesel Ranch one, they had, I think, 40-something oaks that they were removing for that project, and it happened. Yeah. Yeah, well, okay, you have to understand, many of these property owners, Lampertis too, are renting out their property to large out-of-county corporations who are coming in and growing this. Or they are going through the permitting process, getting the permit, and then they're putting it up for sale because the value is higher. So. Is that?
Okay.
We'll talk to you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Holly. Did anyone else have any questions?
Does,
For Ms. Harris?
we have, I don't know if this is working or not.
You gotta get close.
I'm not sure if, as there's so many new faces here tonight, please question if you don't understand why some of these items are on the agenda. We just don't go back and provide a lot of history. We just sort of pick up where we left off and give our reports and our update. But this is for legal cannabis and growers. And before it was made legal in 2016, projects were generally in remote areas and under an acre. And when it was legalized for recreational use, all of a sudden it's just exploded. And large grows that are moving in close to us in residential areas and close to the lake and the shoreline into we protect the scenic shoreline. So this is why this is an ongoing item, but please feel free, because we'll use a lot of acronyms and just go off on our reports, assuming people understand this. And this is your meeting, so we want to make sure you understand, what we're talking about.
Okay, and yes, those ones on 53 are in our district for sure. Yeah. Okay. Seeing nothing else on, yes. Sure. Okay, Lori, what was it? Lori C. And what was her question? Okay, Lori on Zoom, if you could get us your question, we will do our best to get you an answer.
Hello, this is Dr. Makowitz from Redbud Audubon. I was just asked to unmute, and I hadn't raised my hand, but I would like to comment and follow up on what Holly had said. When we reviewed the sample project in the Cannabis Ordinance Task Force packet, we noted that one of the operators not only did not fill out his water usage properly for his project, but he hadn't even started his mitigation measures. He had just removed his oaks and hadn't planted a single one. And there's no follow-up, so that's something that needs to be looked into. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Did you catch that, Holly? Okay, thank you. It'll be in our minutes as well. All right, thank you. We're going to move on to item number 8, the Spring Valley update. Tony, I'll let you take it away and take it on to the other people if necessary.
Yeah, when can you, I could talk about the water thing and the fire thing, but you know more about it than I do right now.
Nothing to update this month? Okay.
Yeah, we have some definite issues going on up there, and we're working on it. I think Mr. Crandall's gonna see a lot of it at the next meeting at 7 o'clock up there. So, but we're going to do some very similar stuff. They're trying to raise our water rates over a 5-year plan over $200 a month. So a lot of people can't make that bill. So we're going to rattle some cages. And you guys, go at it with the rent control thing. That's rough. Nothing really. Well, we've got things that we're going to talk about tonight at the meeting up there, and then we'll have more stuff for next meeting.
Okay. All right, thank you. Cindy, are you here? You were here.
She was here.
There's Cindy hiding over there. Do you have anything to add to this item? You're on here? No? Okay. All right, thank you. We'll look for you next month. And we'll move right on to number 9, our High Valley Road traffic and road condition issues. Pam.
Chuck.
And Holly and Chuck.
It would be Maria too, but she's not here.
Okay.
My name's Chuck Lamb. I think it was 5 weeks ago. If you remember, High Valley Road at the junction of Cerritos, there's a hairpin turn, if you've been up there. There were 2 side-by-side wrecks of semi-trucks, really big, long semi-trucks, that ended up closing down the highway for many, many, many hours. I think our concern was mostly, what if there was a wildfire? What if there was an emergency? What if, what's going to happen if those roads don't get opened? So actually Maria Khan, who's a member of the board here, and her friend Lori, may have been Lori on the Zoom there, the three of us decided to make an issue out of that and see if we can do something to change that around. And it's my understanding, talking to Lori, that she spoke to Highway Patrol, and Highway Patrol said that they were going to make a suggestion back that they limit the size of the vehicles going up there. Now what happens is you've got these great big semis that are going up to Brassfield with pallets and pallets of bottles and all kinds of stuff, and maybe coming back out of Brassfield with wine. I'm not sure about that. In any event, what we need to do is, it is a major safety problem for that area and a major safety problem for the folks up on Alta Vista and Cerritos and High Valley. So unfortunately, at this point, I don't have any progress to report on that issue. Possibly Maria does, but she's not here, so I don't know. But I'll get together with her this week, and we'll see if anything else is going on with that. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for the update. Item number 10, the John T. Kloss Park update. Holly?
Okay, so this is good news.
Yay.
So for those of you new here that don't know, Mr. Klaus, who passed away many years ago, he owns all the property, and I'm totally screwed up here, all the property between here over to the lava pits. It's near 600 acres. Anyway, he donated that to the county for use for a park. The county accepted it. They've been working on it for a while, and we're getting closer to actually having something happen here. So 650 acres. It's going to be called the John T. Kloss Park. There has to be a youth element to it. The back 1/3 is going to be wildlife refuge. And I spoke with Lars Ewing, who's the Public Services Director. He just had a kickoff meeting with the park consultant, who is Helix Environmental Planning, and right now they're working on an interim use plan, a development concept design, and preliminary biological cultural analysis. He told me to say that he's going to be reaching out soon to the individuals who previously expressed an interest in being on the core working group. They also are targeting a community public scoping meeting because they want to get the community together and find out what you want in a park. So the community public scoping meeting is going to be in the evening, either Tuesday, August 27th or Wednesday, August 28th, the location, time, and date to be determined. In addition to, he will be presenting at the October Earth meeting. Once I find out any of that information, I'll let Pam know, and if you are on the email list, she can send it out, but I will also post a notice in the bulletin board. Anytime I find out anything going on, I post in that locked bulletin board at the post office. So anyway, put on your calendar. We'd like to get a great turnout to find out what you want to have in a park, in a regional park. This is a great opportunity. We have the monument back here. We are the first community as you come into, Lake County, and we should just keep that in mind. The other thing is he just did put out a recruitment for extra help park staff who are going to be assigned just to Klaus. And they'll be responsible for site cleanup and other preparations for the interim use. And he's also in discussions with the property owner to the east about livestock on the property, and there's a possibility we may still be able to keep all the alpaca and the cows and the horses there. But anyway, that's it.
Thank you. That is good news. All right, Supervisor Crandall?
So the folks that are here for Lake Village Estates, I'm really glad you're here. This is a good Here we go. How about now? All right, here we go. And so, so I did set a meeting with Terry Seagraves. Does that sound familiar? Is she here? Oh, okay. I set a meeting, and then we had a special meeting to, so I couldn't make it. So we can meet after. I mean, it seems like we're almost done with the agenda. So if we have time after, we can go from there and then set another meeting. But for sure, we'll talk after this and see where we can go from there on that. So I'll be here after. I have to go to Spring Valley. We start at 7 out there, right? So yeah, we'll have enough time to talk. So I do have a couple of updates. I know that you mentioned something, and I'll talk with you after as well about Short Street. Jim, I have a couple for you as well, code enforcement, that you asked me about. I have those. I'll tell about the side on those. But I'll go on to, so we haven't met, we didn't meet last month because of 4th of July. So we did pass the budget, and one of the things that came out of the budget, I know we've had the roadmap task force here for 2 years. It's now morphed into, it's still intact. It's not wrapped up completely yet, so it's still here for Clear Lake Oaks. But it's now morphed into what's called COPTER, Community-Oriented Police Targeted Restoration. COPTER sounds better, I guess. But what it will be is
I can hear you.
So what was that called? Police? Something targeted? He cut out like this. I know. We can ask him to repeat it.
oh, there we go.
If you could just repeat the last part, the police
It's
targeted.
community-oriented policing targeted restoration. I'm going to hold this. And so it's called COPTER. And so what it's going to be is a real heavy focus onto Nice and Lucerne. And it's going to come out of the, it's going to operate out of the Lucerne station. However, it's not prone to just Lucerne how it was here with Clear Lake Oaks and the Roadmap Task Force. And I know ideally for Clear Lake Oaks that was a good thing. However, they will be able to now, even if they're in Nice or Lucerne, if something happens here, they can come here too. They're not just focused only on Nice and Lucerne. So it's not really necessarily taking away, it's expanding, but it's also funded for 3 years. It's the same concept per se, but they can actually bounce around. That's the upside to it. I know the downside for you all is that it's not going to be focused here in Clear Lake Oaks per se. I know that's I don't like having to tell you this, but that's just where it morphed, if you will. But it'll still have the capacity to come and act in these areas as well. So that's where that had went. And if you've noticed in the past month or so, in a couple months, we've had some abatements take place. I know we've had quite a bit that we've needed to take care of for quite some time. They've done one on Pingree, Garden Court, and Butler Street. There's still a lot more that need to be done, but it's good to see some of those coming through. We've hired, I don't know if you're familiar, many of you probably are, is the Public Works Director, Glenn March, is now the new Public Works Director, and he's focused solely on Public Works. There's no more directors that are in charge of 2 or 3 departments anymore. It's just one. And so there we'll have him, and he's actually been really active so far. I know he's done quite a bit. He's going to evaluate. He's also worked with Scott DeLeon for the last month that Scott was here. So he's really in tune with what needs to be done. I think he came to Lucerne Town Hall, or Central Region Town Hall, so maybe it'd be good to bring him here as well, so that we can address the High Valley. And I am meeting with him next week. There's quite a bit of things I need to talk to him about, and he wanted to talk to me about. So High Valley is definitely one of the things that we need to talk about. So that's where I was going next. So the next hire that we had, it started July 1st, was Dr. Pawan Upadhyay. So he's now the Water Resources Director. He's been here about a month now, and so he reported yesterday for one of the first times, I think. So he's getting accustomed. He'll be at the Science Symposium next week as well. I think everyone that is in Water Resources will be there. It's at Robinson Rancheria Thursday and Friday. I'll get the better dates. I have a flyer, so I'll get you that in a second. 15th and the 16th, 8:30 to 4 the first day, and then the second day, it's the same, right? 8:30 to 4. The first night will be some sort of reception from like 6 to 8. And they're going to be like discussions on more science. And then the next night at the Soper Reese, they're going to show a movie. So that's going to be good. It's going to talk about it's going to be a movie that was done by Sam Houston, and it's going to have most of the officials and folks from the county and other agencies talking about the lake. As you know, that we've had quite a bit of articles go into the either I don't know if it's the newspapers or, yeah, it is the newspapers, but it's also, I seen there was one from NASA, and so that we've gotten a lot of attention because of our lake. I actually, a couple of weeks back, ABC 10 came and wanted to talk about what the county, the tribes, and I think they talked to also Jim Steele over here because they're doing a story, and it's like, it's going to be a while before they finish, but they're getting all sorts of different aspects of what's going on with the lake. So we'll be looking out for that. Yes. Yes, the Keys, yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's one of the other things is when we talk to these different agencies, and I know when I did the movie with Sam, or not the movie, but the video with Sam, we talked about that hypolimnetic oxygenation. And that still isn't even in place yet. I know it's funded, but that's supposed to be some solution to it. But yeah, so right. For the channels? Well, there's some areas that the county is responsible for, and so that's where we're having issues. And I know that Mike Herman and I and the others from the Keys Association, they've been in touch with me, and they've had issues with also invasive species. And so there's a lot of different people responsible for it, but all in all, the county has some responsibility in different areas. And so I think it's difficult because the Keys is doing their best to ensure that they're taking care of their invasive species and everything else. However, when the county's not taking care of theirs, they're at odds. Am I correct, Mike? And so we're still struggling with that. But, you know, it's one of those things where I know if I can do something to help the Keys with the invasive species, I try my best. So, and I don't know if we have to do the same thing we did last year or what, but we can talk about that as well. Let's see. Special Districts Administrator, and I think Spring Valley probably knows we have a new director or administrator there, Robin Borre. She's from Lakeport. She grew up in Lakeport. She was working, I think, I want to say not Vallejo, but Vacaville, Rio Vista, there you go. Somewhere down there. I should know, I interviewed her. But, so yeah, she started, I think she's been here for about a month as well. And so, solely her job as well. I am going to miss Scott Harder. I had worked really well with him. I know that whenever I wanted him to come to your meetings or anything of the like, I think he even came a couple times here. I know it was difficult with the lighting district for Clear Lake Oaks, but I know he got it to, I think, the LAFCO process, and I think we're still sitting there. But she's getting up to par now, Robin is. Social Services, Rachel Dillman Parsons was promoted within, so she's the Social Services Director. And as of right now, we are hiring and doing interviews for an Animal Control Director. The other is not with us anymore. So lots of new people. Some have stayed, so 3 out of 4 are new, but Rachel is from Lake County. There is one thing I've been going to, I go to RCRC, and at times it poses a conflict for me to come to these meetings, but one of the things we talked with, there was a group of gentlemen that came that are pushing through Prop 36, and if you've heard of it, it's an attempt to correct 47, which is put us in the position where our law enforcement's hands are tied. And so it's an attempt to try and resolve some of those. We had a really good talk about it. I know in some instances, folks feel like, yeah, it's not going to work, but I know that we're doing our best to give support to that because the theft, the grab and goes, all of that stuff, people getting arrested, let right back out, that's a big problem for everyone. And it's contributing to why we need these task forces, if you will. So anyhow, that was one of the things I was discussing at RCRC. And I think we talked about this last time, I'm not sure, but I'll reiterate it. There is, so the plan for the highway, there's going to be, and you know this, I think, Holly and Chuck, I think we talked about it. 24 and, or 25 and 26, there is work that's going to put rapid rectangular flashing beacons on Highway 20. Upper Lake will get 2, Nice will get 3, I think Clear Lake Oaks gets 2 or 3. I know they're working on the paint to be a lot more visible. Lucerne gets, I think, 1, but what they're doing mostly through it is the paint. Another discussion I had with them in the South Deal meeting was that wasn't simply enough. We have the center lanes. They mentioned, and they have I think it was a PowerPoint, but it was done in February, so I need the updated one. I asked them for an updated version of this for measures for the center lane, because in some areas they close it up and then they have a simple turn lane so that way it doesn't allow for the middle. And so we've been really asking them to do that. They have measures that are going to, so right out in this area where the roundabout is, they have mechanisms that will specify who has a route on Highway 20, and if not, they can be pulled over and sent around the other way. That's another thing they're looking into as well.
EJ?
Yeah.
EJ?
Yes. Yes.
Up here. Question, on the rapid flashing beacons.
Yes.
And visible paint, that's approved to happen?
Yes.
Okay.
25 and 26. And by this, yes. So I don't know if that's the one. That's the difficult one. We've been trying to get them to change because for some reason they did by Dollar General instead.
What he told me 2 months ago, there's 4 areas. The first part is Glen Haven and Nice. Lucerne isn't involved. And then the second phase is Upper Lake and Clear Lake Oaks. So E.R.T.H sent in the letter requesting that they focus on the East Lake School just because of the dangers there. And he came back and said that they couldn't do that, but they're actively looking for funding for that. But the first one's going to be Nice and Glen Haven, and then afterwards, Clear Lake Oaks.
I'll have to show you the plans that I have because it shows Upper Lake. I think it is. There's like 2 or 3 different projects going on. I think we just have to identify which ones they are. But I did hear about that because we wanted to move Glen Haven to where the school is. So the schools. We're working on the school. I'm glad that E.R.T.H did a letter. But the other thing to add is, and I don't know if I mentioned this to you all before, but in the Central Region Town Hall, I think it was in April, they invited Scott DeLeon. And I had mentioned how I was going to work on using cannabis funding, discretion funding that I have to put the flashing beacons at the schools. We've had issues with this school. It's come here many times. Lucerne has the problem, Upper Lake has the problem, and so I was like, Scott, I'm just gonna do this, how much do they cost, what can I do to help? And he says, we're working on a grant to put, for safe schools, is what he told me, and said that we can implement that if you can add some to it. So I know that Glenn March knows about it, we've talked about it, again, we're meeting next week to line some of these things up, because I really, if they can't do it, I'm just gonna try and do it with discretionary cannabis funds because it's too long to wait. If I've seen Lakeport does it behind their school. I forgot what the road's called, but it's behind where the baseball field is. I forgot Hartley, I think it is. And so they have one there, and it's like not even as long as these 2 tables that you have to walk across the street. So for me, and I talked to Kevin about it, Kevin Ingram, the city manager, and he gave me some insight on how much they cost and whatnot. So we're working on those. I want to make sure they get done. If we can't get them through safe schools, then I'm going to try to get it done otherwise, so that we don't have to deal with that when it comes to the schools.
When you talk with, was it Glenn March, the new, okay, if you remember, Scott DeLeon came here just before he retired, and he told us that he was going to be including Alta Vista and Cerrito and all the roads in between Clear Lake Oaks and Glen Haven to be repaired, and I just want to know that he told Glenn March that.
Yes, and when I talked to him in Lucerne, he came to that meeting at CERT, and I went down some things that Scott had talked about, and I told him how Scott has come to many of these meetings and either talked about the 5 to 10-year plan or even some of the projects that need to be done, and assured us that despite the 5 or 10-year plan and how it changed directions from us being first in District 3 and then now it changing, he had mentioned that there's still avenues for us to be worked on and whatnot. So I made sure to keep reminding Glenn of that, and so in the next meeting that I have, I'll make sure to reiterate that and the 5 and 10-year plan and all of the other things, schools and everything else that we're talking about. And so, yeah, there's quite a bit, because that's not the only thing. Those aren't the only. There's others too that I know we have with some folks that have trees and tree issues growing over and things like that. So I have quite a bit of things to talk about with them. And so, yeah, that's Caltrans plan or whatever the case may be. They brought it up in the South Deal meeting. So I know that's happening 25, 26. I know Thomas Aceves on the Worth Committee is part of that, a part of the advisory committee, and he and I, we meet with them quarterly, and so I know that he brought this up too at the Worth meeting. Whether it happens, you know, we always say, yes, it's happening in 25, 26, but then, you know, all of a sudden something happens, or they say, oh, we can't get to it or whatever, but we're going to keep on them to remind them, so it's happening, right? So it's happening, right? Why not? Why? Or whatever.
I think, is it appropriate time for Glenn to get down and talk to Earth?
Yeah.
Maybe what his priorities and his objectives are?
He somewhat did that at CERT. I think he just did more of an introductory thing, but I think he's ready to do that. I don't think he went into all of the other, like what you're asking, but I know he's willing and ready. He said that before, that he's willing to come to these and talk about that. So it is a good thing to have him come here. Yeah. We can work on it. If he's up to it, I mean, if he doesn't have a double schedule or anything or something, I'm sure he would, but we'll work on that. I'm meeting with him again, so like next week, so make sure, hey, we got a Earth meeting. He's already went to Central Region Town Hall, so, yeah. Okay, so that's what I have for now. I'm open for questions if you would like to do that, and I know for sure that we are definitely meeting after we finish this.
You should know what she's doing. I mean,
Angela Amaral. And she had called me about a lot of the things that you mentioned as well.
Thank you. I'd like to let you guys know the Zoom is working good, like you have Starlink there. EJ, on the flashing beacons, are they going to be push button activated, or are they going to be constantly blinking? Because, you know, you get that, if it's not push button activated, you get the, you know, people become complacent, constantly seeing the flashing lights. So can you let me know, are they push button activated?
I think they are push button activated, and I have the plan, so I'll double check that. But yeah, I don't see why they would have them flashing all the time. I think it would need to be the push button, because also with the paint that they're enhancing, that makes it more visible. So I don't know why it would keep flashing. Do you know of any that are consistently flashing?
Well, I've seen it down in the Bay Area, and they do, and especially on like busy highways down along the coast, they put them there, and they are constantly flashing. So when they first put them up, people were real aware of them, and they would slow down as they got to them. And as the months went on, people just stopped slowing down because they were always flashing, whether somebody was crossing or not. So they do them. If you want to double check that they are push button activated, because it does make a difference to people paying attention to them.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I assumed they were, but yeah, no, I don't know why we would want anything else but push button activated, because that's the issue we have. Nobody stops. So I'll double check. Yeah. I assumed that they were, but again, thank you for reminding me to ask them that, because it would have been it's really bad if they don't have it and we thought it was going to be, right? Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the initials when you were talking about the road. We still have roads in the Oaks that have not been repaired that were on that map.
On the map for the 5 or 10 year plan? Yeah, they haven't even started on, they only started on Cobb so far as of, well, they,
I've done some in the Oaks, but they just didn't, they never finished all of them that were on that map.
on the same map for the 5 and 10-year plans?
They're supposed to be for 2026.
She said the roads that she mentioned aren't finished, and she said they're supposed to be finished in 2026, is what Holly had said. Okay.
Sorry, and somebody just mentioned PG&E. I wanted to ask, what's the county doing as far as PG&E undergrounding lines and causing damage? I know it's been happening a lot in Spring Valley. We got notice that they're going to be out here at the beginning of the year, so I just want to get ready.
Yeah.
If you can help let me know what the plan is.
I have a meeting with them Monday, and then there's another one at RCRC on Friday where we talk to them.
Okay,
It's
if you
not
can touch
just-
base with me, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's not just myself and Supervisor Pyska, it's like 38 other rural counties that are having the same problems with them on this subject as well. This and the EPSS and PSPS, all those things. So, yeah. Sir?
Any update on High Valley Road, Cerrito and Alta Vista repairs and paving?
No, and that's what we were just talking about over here, is that with Glenn March this week, that's one of the subjects that we'll be talking about. Yes.
I wanted to kind of go back to the High Valley Road situation. I've been in conversation with Shannon Began. She's the communications director for PG&E and was in charge of all the hardening of the lines there. There was quite a bit of road, disruption to the roads during the hardening of the lines with PG&E in the past 8 months. So I've been in conversation with Shannon Began, who's the communications director for PG&E. And the most recent update is that they're going to start doing the patching of the roads High Valley, Cerrito, and Alta Vista next week. And then they're going to do what's called a chip slurry, okay? Now, the issue with that is it is not going to address the structural damage that's been done to the roads on the shoulders. So if they're just going to come in and do that without having somebody come in and do a structural engineering report and actually putting something in to support certain areas along High Valley, we're going to see quite a bit of erosion this winter. And we're seeing like 2 to 3 foot slumps of the shoulder dropping off into the ravine already from the heavy equipment that was out there. And there are some areas where if they're just going to patch it and do a chip slurry, it's just going to sink in during the winter, and we're going to have still that 20 foot by 8 foot by 2 foot pothole on High Valley. And then the area where you transition from High Valley into Cerrito is so badly, it's like 40 feet by 25 foot, and there's no pavement. If they just do a patch and a slurry, it's not going to work because it's not thick enough. And so I want to find out if there's something that we can do that's a little better. Like, is there? Yeah, if we can get in touch with Glenn, or we have been in touch with Glenn from our community, and what he said, they're just going to patch it. So that's basically where we're at with that. And then I think it's kind of dangerous because, as we mentioned before, the semis and the heavy equipment that's rolling with all the cannabis and the wine vineyards, wineries, and traffic that's happening on that road, it's just exacerbating the situation. So as a resident there, and I'm sure some of you are, I'm just concerned. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is, can we please have PG&E put a line down High Valley, down the center of the road? Because I drive it every day, and most of the time, you just, the lines aren't being respected, especially with the big trucks. They just roll down the center of the road, and you have to stop and try to figure out, there's nowhere to pull off there. Another thing we want to talk about, maybe not here, is we need to figure out a second exit for the residents that live on that area in case of fire. So maybe we should table that for another time, but it needs to be.
No, it's been something that, yeah, Randy's brought up, and it's, High Valley needs that, and Spring Valley needs that. So there's twofold there that needs to happen, because there's no egress or no alternate route. And your email was the one that explained that as well, ma'am, sorry. So I seen that, and that's also one of the things that we're talking about, which is what you were asking about. Those coincide with what I'm going to talk to him about and ensure, because I did see that he's going to do that, and I know that, I don't remember your name, but I know she was frustrated with that. So yeah, it's on the radar. Yeah. Okay. And again, I am going to stay here so we can talk. So if that's all we have, I'll give it back to the town council here.
All right, thank you.
Great.
Do we have any new business? Okay.
No.
Seeing none, all right. Any announcements? We have a full house. Any announcements? Do we know of anything coming up? Or no? No?
I think we ought to put what about the lighting district? Should we put that back on the agenda and get somebody to, where are we at with that?
Well, remember, they were transferring over to the new replacement. They're working on that, so that was another job change.
Okay.
On special district?
Go ahead.
Are you talking special district? They do have a new person. Her name is Robin something.
Thank you. I didn't see, this is Angela Emerald. I didn't see a fire update from Chief Cioncio on the agenda. Is he there?
No, he is not.
He's not. Okay, well, is Cindy there? I'm guessing Cindy's there. Well, I would just like to express my appreciation for everyone out here for the protection, for their outstanding job in fighting the fires and protecting us here in the county. As you guys know, we were evacuated at this end during the fire up by Indian Valley Reservoir. So I just wanted to express our thank you, and yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Hi, Angela. I will make sure that Mike gets that. He is home recovering from some surgery, and he came home today. He's doing well, for those of you who have asked. Great.
Thank you, Cindy, and appreciate you too. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else on Zoom? We see nothing? Very good, thank you. So our next Earth meeting will be Wednesday, September 4th, 2024, right here at the Moose Lodge, starting at 4 p.m., going no later than 5:30. We will now adjourn our meeting at 5:03 p.m.
Oh.